Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an awesome show for you guys today. All right, so obviously big news, the Sam Darnold trade. We're going to break that down in just a second. We're also going to be talking risers and fallers, right? So we have each created a list of 3 risers, 3 fallers. We checked it out ahead of time just to make sure that we knew which was which, and we weren't going to, talk over each other on the same guys. So we were all good actually there. And then at the end of the show, we are going to discuss Deshaun Watson, all right? And got a little bit of hate last time we did 2 weeks ago. It wasn't anything major, but it was kind of interesting. But we want to be respectful. We feel like we have to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it at the end of the show to give people if you don't want to hear about it, it's a developing story. It's kind of a shitty story. Nobody kind of wins with shit like this, so totally understandable.
No one listens to the end of our podcast anyways. So we know that by that point we can say whatever the hell we need to say because you're already gone.
We have been killing it on the numbers, by the way. Just so everybody,
it's been good.
We have been very appreciative. Our numbers have been going up steadily, and it's just been awesome to see everything, all the metrics that you're supposed to look at have been going up. We're still a small channel, but hey, we're here and it's been growing. We're very appreciative of everybody that does listen and is a fan. And for those of you that do make it to the end, thank you. But guys, let's get right into it. Oh, also subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get right into it. Sam Darnold traded from the Jets. Raw reactions, what do you think? Let me break it down first. He was traded to the Carolina Panthers for a 2nd, a 4th, and a 6th round pick. Do I have that right? I did that off the top of my head.
This year 6, next year 2nd and 4th.
That's exactly right. Yeah. What are your first thoughts?
I love it. I love it for Sam Darnold. Listen, Sam Darnold has made some throws that if I were to blur out who the quarterback throwing it was, you'd be like, that was Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Or that was what we see now out of Zach Wilson-esque with these off-body being able to still throw just absolute frozen ropes. Sam Darnold is a very talented quarterback. He has been on a team that is devoid of talent for a long time in the New York Jets, who refused to build around him, who finally decided to build around him. And yes, Sam Darnold had some illnesses that he had to deal with last season that I kind of ended up just watching it. He also had to deal with the most inept coach that we have seen in a long time in Adam Gase, who I will never back in any way whatsoever. So this is a change of landscape for both parties here. The Jets get to move on with their new quarterback, their whole culture change. That's cool for them. But I'm excited to see Sam Darnold at the Carolina Panthers with a ton of weapons around him. And I think a good coach in Matt Rule.
This could not have worked out better for Sam Darnold. I want to say that first. If you're a fan of Sam Darnold, if you have I know the football.
I like it.
And I'm just saying the football cards or whatever. If you spend a bunch of money on his rookie card, those platinum or whatever the highest grade is, I mean you have to be happy with this move because he is going to the best possible situation. You want weapons? Oh yeah, we got Rodney Anderson, we got DJ Moore, who I still believe is a baller. We have one of the best running backs in the league. We have a pretty good offensive line, and we have one of the best young offensive coordinators in the game right now, not to mention a Rule who has developed a program at everywhere he's been at every single level,
specifically quarterbacks too.
Exactly. I mean, this was a slam dunk move, and it's one of those things where it's obviously I've always been a fan of Bridgewater, the story, awesome that he was able to come back, but he's a backup quarterback in this league. I'm sorry, that's what he is. He got paid, he had a chance this year, and I did videos early on in the season kind of breaking down his game. I think we did, it was him versus, I think it was the Seattle Seahawks or whatever. It was very early on in the season, and it was oh, well, he can't throw the deep ball. We broke down 6 or 7 plays where it's he couldn't throw the deep ball. That offended a lot of fucking people. Everyone was coming for our throats that day. And it was it was so, people are going to be defensive or whatever, but it's you could see it on tape that Bridgewater was not able to make every throw in the, on the field. Sam Darnold is, and whether he's able to get the decision making and, see the ghosts and all those other things past him, this is a fairly cheap alternative to replacing your quarterback than what would have been getting up to number 4 and getting the 4th best quarterback in this class, right? I mean,
exactly. And then still having to take a crapshoot, if you will, at that 4th best quarterback in this class, because you still don't know what that's going to happen. We have seen the flashes with Sam Darnold, and I can show you games where he has played well above what he was capable of doing, and he was highly touted coming out too. I think it's a good move. I am sad for Teddy though. I'm a Vikings fan. I always have a soft spot for Teddy. His story is inspirational. He plays, he's very passionate about the way that he plays and everything. I wouldn't go as far to say that he is a destined backup. He can start. He has shown that he can start.
Yeah, well, I mean, but some of the best
capable.
backups in the league can start. That's what I'm saying.
So
I
guess that just depends on what you determine.
Yeah, I consider.
No, he is not a quarterback you build around. And
Exactly.
the Carolina Panthers answered.
Just to be clear, I consider a backup somebody who you're comfortable enough starting for a year if you need to at the very most, but you're really really comfortable if your quarterback goes down for 3 weeks. You got a guy who's not losing you games, right?
That's how I look at it. Your backup is like Josh McCown.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean.
Bad,
I think there's a lot of. I think of Nick Foles. I mean, I think he's in that range.
Foles, Fitzmagic.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys that are. I mean, they go around the NFL, and I get it. Like there's love and hate for them, but I mean, hey, they're all have won a bunch of games in the NFL, and they're all a lot better at throwing the football than we are. So look, I totally get what you're saying. I think this is interesting because it's like, oh well, this confirms the Jets are drafting a quarterback at 2. Y'all, come on. We knew this for 3 weeks, right? Like this is just the best deal that they were able to find.
Confirm it.
Yeah, you're right.
If you wanted to be at 100% sure you got it now, we were already chilling at 99. Though,
exactly. Here's the thing that's killing me, right? Because there's so much draft implications. I kind of want to move towards that just for a second. First of all, with the Jets. And I know we are of the opinion it's Zach Wilson or nobody, but can you be like, just because I can't, like in my head, I cannot play devil's advocate for this subject, but I've seen a lot of people online. I've seen a lot of people, in big spots in this industry saying that it might not be Zach Wilson, or that Zach Wilson wouldn't be their pick, or things along those lines, that Zach Wilson isn't the guy too. And I am befuddled. I am awestruck. I do not get it. I don't understand. What am I seeing? What am I not seeing that other people are seeing, or what am I missing?
So Zach Wilson is my 2.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Jets, Zach Wilson is my pick.
Yeah.
But
devil's advocate.
I can play devil's advocate.
I want to hear it.
And it's Justin Fields.
Okay.
Listen, I am tired of the Justin Fields slander. We just saw a huge argument go down between, I'm blanking on the name. Oh my God, it's killing me.
Give me close. Help me out. I don't know where you're going with this.
He's a college sports analyst. He lives in Tennessee. Kirk Herbstreit.
Kirk
Herbstreit just went and defended Justin Fields by saying there was someone who came out who was very outspoken about Justin Fields' work ethic and saying
I saw that.
Saying it's very bad, saying that he tries to act like he's the first guy in, last guy out, when in reality that's the janitor. Mm-hmm. So it was not a good thing. Herbstreit kind of backed him up and backed Fields up and said, like, why are we trashing these kids? Like, why? Yeah. You can have certain opinions about these guys and lead that, but you shouldn't defamate their character to a certain extent. So all in all, Fields, I'm tired of him getting crapped on, man. Justin Fields has shown that he can lead an elite program in Ohio State. He has won many prolific games there and done it in outstanding fashion.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest knocks early on was that, he may have done it against lesser talent, being in the Big Ten, and some of those weeks are very, cake. It's very easy to get by at that.
I don't even think that. I mean, he did it injured versus Clemson. I'll give him that. I mean,
just some of the that was one of his best games.
For sure.
If you're a Justin Fields pro guy, like that's where you point. That's what you bring people to. But some of his biggest flaws is that he doesn't really evaluate the field well, and that he has a problem working through his levels and progressions. Then you see stuff where PFF comes out and said that he has one of the highest graded passer ratings when it comes to evaluating his second and third options.
Yeah.
It's just weird to see the narratives that people stick to and the ones that get blown out of proportion, when in reality he's not that bad as what people are saying nowadays, though.
Yeah. It's so amazing because, as over the past 2-3 years, I've really dove into, scouting and being an amateur, scout or whatever for these draft guys. I fell in love with, I always love the draft, but really studying these guys. And it's like, I'm not going to pretend to be a quarterback expert, but I feel like I'm pretty good at seeing talent. When you're really looking for it, I think you can find it. For me, I never once saw Fields as a guy who can't get through his progressions.
Yeah, they made it sound like he's not a first round pick.
I never got that thing, and I've heard smart people say it, but I've also heard smart people debunk it as well. So I lean to the side of debunk. Like, I think his first guy was open a lot, but I mean, I never was like, oh man, he can't get to his second read. I think more often than not, it was like his decision, like he had a little bit longer of a release, or like maybe the ball should have been out of his hands a half second sooner. And these are nitpicks for sure.
See, and that's a nitpick for a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a pick.
But I will say, and I want to reiterate as much as I can, to me, it's a no contest. I mean, it's a no contest from, arm talent. It's a no contest from, obviously, Fields, I think, is more athletic. He's probably better with his legs than
he is, Wilson.
Wilson. But beyond that, I mean, it's no contest for me as to who the better prospect is. And I totally get what you're saying. Fields has been the guy. He's been the number 2 dude for a while. I mean, shit, I mean, almost a year ago, I feel like that where I was like, man, I'm not convinced that Fields is the number 2 guy. I told you that a long time ago. And I think it's just like narratives get built up by people that are media guys, that are reporters, but they're not really analysts. They don't really care to watch the film and make the study. They just hear what people tell them and they run with it. And I feel like we're getting a lot of that shit. And that always happens this time of year. You always hear that kind of stuff. But it's just crazy the amount of misinformation and bullshit. Like I don't know anything about this character, but what I learned last year with Herbert is I'm not buying into any fucking narrative anymore on a quarterback and their work. Like I'm just gonna grade if I meet him and I get to talk to him, sure, I'll buy into it then, or like I'll base that into my judgment. But I'm not listening to anybody else that could have their own narrative, that could have their own thing that we don't know. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. Like, Dan Marino's the best option. This guy right back here, he was there was a rumor that came out that he was into drugs. That's why he fell to the Dolphins at the end of the draft, right? And then Herbert last year, there was this whole thing like he's not a leader or whatever. That affected my grade for him.
He's too quiet.
Yeah, that affected my grade for him. Hey, he was clearly the second most talented, or possibly the most talented quarterback in that draft class last year. And we all bought into the narrative. We all bought into the shit. I bought into, look at the way they used him and all this other shit. And hey, I'm here. I had Tua ahead of Herbert, and I think that was a huge miss. And I think everyone who had Tua ahead of Herbert, that was a huge miss. And we all kind of have to look at ourselves and say, hey, look, Tua could still be awesome. Like, we don't know. Year one, let's not kill him for year one. But Herbert has a higher fucking ceiling. We can all agree on that after year one. So I
don't buy into a lot of these narratives.
Bullshit.
It's hard. And listen, we're doing the meat of this show is a risers and fallers, and it's sad to say that for a second I almost put Justin Fields on the fallers, just because when we're going back and looking at the way things were last year, the narratives that were being pushed at us, it was Trevor versus Fields, because it's been Trevor versus Fields since early on in high school, competing at these Elite 11. Yeah, all of that in college, the playoff together, they're leading their teams. It's the 1 and 2. It's the 1 and 2. And now I've seen instances, and we're going. I feel like on draft night we are going to see this. Fields is going to fall.
He will be at the highest, the 4th quarterback.
Trevor is going 1. Zach Wilson is going 2. And
Mac Jones is going 3.
Schefter tweeted out today and almost confirmed.
Mac
said
Jones
everything but confirmed it. Mac Jones is going 3, guys.
I said it the second it fucking happened that Mac Jones makes a lot of sense, and the more I keep hearing it, the more I keep thinking about how much
Jones is going
Mac
3.
Jones is going 3. I'm sorry, like I'm convinced, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll take shots. Like I will put a lot of shots on the line, and we can. It's gonna happen.
Listen, I don't agree with that happening.
Yeah, he's not my third quarterback.
Yeah, he's
on
not.
The board,
he's not most people's third quarterback, but based on what we're hearing and based on how bold it would be for Kyle Shanahan to move up he knows that Mac's going to be there at 3, so he knows he's getting his guy, because there is a chance that the Jets take Justin Fields. There is a chance.
You think?
There is a chance.
What percentage you put it at? I put it at 0%. I think the first 2 picks are locked and loaded. There's 0 chance of it going any other way. You think it's 20% chance?
I think it's
Fields?
a 15 to 20% chance.
Wow. Yeah, I see. We're way off on that.
I think it is one of those things that we need to evaluate. I mean, we're talking about Sam Darnold now. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. I think it is one of those things that if Robert Saleh and his guys around him, I don't know the offensive coordinator off the top of my head, or even if they've named one yet, if they fall in love with their guy at quarterback, Fields is very talented. Zach Wilson is a better prospect. Zach Wilson has a higher ceiling that you can see, being able to be reached sooner than that. But I think Fields is a very good quarterback. I think it's nitpicky at best if we're going to talk about for my QB3 in a Fields versus the QB2 in Wilson.
So it's close for you between those two.
Listen, it's.
I don't want to put you in the corner either, because I know you're defending one thing.
I'm trying to think. Trevor is up there for me. He's not being touched. Okay. Zach Wilson is the closest. If he had to be touched, Fields doesn't have a chance at that. So there is a gap. But I'm just saying, for the fact that going back to Baker and Sam, the Browns fell in love with his leadership. Baker's, his ability to command a locker room. I'm not going to say it based on the character of Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields. The whole point is if they fall in love with their guy,
the right team could fall in love with their guy. I get what you're saying.
I think their boards could be close enough lined up to where there is a chance the Jets do it.
See, to me, I think, because to me, like I really do believe. I think it's. I think it's obviously you have your number one in Trevor Lawrence. We've known that forever, right?
We haven't talked about Trevor in a long time, by the way. We need to give him a little bit.
But then, like, I'm going to be honest, and maybe this is both. I think it's close. I think Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are close. Just based on the prospect I see on the field, and I get it. You know, obviously Trevor Lawrence is my number one, and it's not close enough to where like I'm really trying to decide. But I do think it's realistic. Like I think it's a huge fucking gap. I think those two guys are going to be superstars in this league, and everybody else, we'll see what happens.
I think Zach Wilson will be a superstar. I think the reason that there is such a big gap between a Trevor and a Zach Wilson is how consistent and how long Trevor's been doing what he does. Some of the things that he does, we take for granted.
Oh yeah,
he's been doing it for years as a true freshman. Beat that Alabama team that was
he could have gone straight. He's one of the few guys that I believe.
A year and a half, no one's talking about Zach Wilson's name, and that's totally fine. That's how football happens. That's the love of the game, and that's one of the best things about it.
Joe Burrow was the number one last year. No one's talking about it. I'm like, are we down on that now? No, I mean he got hurt. But other than that, we're good.
It's just saying for Trevor how consistent.
Yeah, no, and I get that. Well, and again, I'm not comparing those two guys. I'm just saying for me. I do see a huge drop off.
So you don't see any way that the Jets could fall in love with Fields?
I think the whole fall in love thing, I think that is playing out in real time with the 49ers falling in love with Mac over a Fields. I think that is the best way to describe it. To me, I don't see any realm where it's not Wilson at 2. Just based on everything I've seen.
In essence, because I know after the fact we always do, talk about who slipped, who fell in the draft.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't put Fields on my followers list in this show, because I believe in Fields. I think Fields
is still a chance.
Yes, I think he's very capable. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be one of those things after the fact we're gonna talk about. Hey, Fields fell. Yeah. And this is why. And I mean, me and you were bullshitting off Cam. There is a chance that Fields could fall.
Yeah.
It could be Trey Lance next.
Let's kind of, because we need to go back to this. We were talking about the trade and we got, hey, that's what the pod's for. It's totally fine. But I want to go back just for a second because we were talking about, look, Carolina is out of the quarterback conversation at 8. We agree, right? Like it's not going to be QB at 8 for Carolina, which I was convinced. I was 100% convinced Carolina was going to make a move to get up to number 4.
It's Kyle Pitts if he's
I have to think that conversation was had, and the Falcons probably wanted too much, and they were like, okay, do we give up essentially close to what the 49ers probably had to give up? Or do we trade a second and some bullshit picks to get a possibly very capable Sam Darnold, run it for another year, build out the rest of your team, and then make the move for a guy we really believe in, right? Like instead of going up to number 4 and making a move for it. And hey, maybe they still have their guy and they're gonna wait and see, and if he's still there at 8, they take him, but they just wanted to have their backup plan. And if you trade a second round pick for a backup plan, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
right?
You don't lose your job over that.
Exactly. No,
you
not at all.
You lose your job for taking the wrong guy here, though. If you trade up to 4,
exactly. Yeah. So I think that was good, but the fall off of guys just go through it of now the names that are on that board. Nobody's taking a quarterback. Maybe Denver is a question mark to me. I don't think Denver's in the play. I think Denver was in play for Deshaun Watson when that was a big thing, because every team should have been in play for Deshaun Watson other than like 5 or 6. And then obviously now nobody's going for Deshaun Watson anymore. But I really think the next team that is a clear, we're going to draft a quarterback soon, is the Patriots at 15. So to me, and maybe this is crazy, and I kind of spelled this out for him, and I know you've had a second to think about it, but and I'm not saying this will happen, but I do think there's a world where it's like 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and then nothing could happen until 15. And then you have 15 with the Patriots, and then you have 20 with the Bears. One of those teams probably, I could see the Bears trading up to 11 to go get their guy if no quarterback goes off from 4 to 11, right? I'd say 11 arbitrarily, anywhere in that range. Like they could move up, but they're probably not going to be able to move up into top 5, top 8 range. Is that realistic? Does that make sense to you?
Well, it hurts the Falcons almost in saying that because
this trade
those
killed the
teams are
Falcons
so far back. Yeah, exactly. Because they don't know what they're going to get value-wise. Because I'm sure they're wanting the nuts because they're sitting at 4.
Yeah.
But man, it just sucks because the next teams that really need that quarterback, yes, you mentioned Denver. I think Denver is in play for some of these quarterbacks. I'm not so sold out on Drew Lock yet, though. I think last year with the injuries and everything.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah,
exactly.
But at the same time, you look at a coach who might be on the hot seat here, might be thinking, man, am I going to go down with the ship for a quarterback I didn't even draft? Or am I going to take my shot at a quarterback I believe in? There's a chance, and I'm not saying that will or won't happen.
Atlanta and Detroit have opened up to trading down, but having a team at the Patriots at 15 and the Bears at 20, It's going to be very hard to find a deal that lines up right there. So you might just take best player available at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. Yeah, listen, if we're plugging in Mac Jones' name, there's not a problem with him being there at 15. There's a problem with me saying Fields would be there at 15. There's a problem.
You have a see. I don't. I'll be honest.
That's fine.
I don't, and I like Fields. Get me wrong. I really do like Fields, but like to
Fields
me,
at 15 would make me
I've always
sick
said
because Haskins went at like 15 or something.
Yeah, Haskins went at 15. I like Fields a lot more than Haskins. But to me, I never saw Fields as a guy who was a top 5 quarterback prospect. I saw him as a first round prospect. I saw him outside of that top 5. And to me, maybe I just hold that in like higher regard. I don't see Mac Jones as a top 5. He's going to go top 5. So like, I just hold it in a different regard, I think. But also like a Trey Lance, I look at Trey Lance very similar to the way I looked at Love last year, who went late first, which is exactly where I wanted him to go. I hope Trey Lance goes late first. I think that would be perfect for him. Go to a spot where he can sit for a year or two. I'm not saying that's going to happen. He's gotten all this buzz in the early, top 10 range. But I mean, it's so interesting the evolution of draft season, because we did a video during the NFL season breaking down who could realistically go get a quarterback and naming. Like we got to like 4 names, and then it was like, okay, after this you have a lot of maybes, but who knows what's going to happen. And now obviously 49ers came out of nowhere. They were definitely on the maybe list, but also some teams that we thought would certainly be in play traded for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just interesting how it's kind of all played out to where we thought it could be 4 or 5 in the top 10. It could be 4, it could be 4 total. Like if the Patriots decide not to go and the Bears get a quarterback, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if nobody else went quarterback in the first.
There's nothing wrong with saying that. We did this same conversation last year with Jacob Eason.
Yeah.
And Fields and Lance are far above that.
And I will say, like, at this point last year, Eason was probably closer to out of the conversation.
Pretty much already down, but there were some people touting his name up there and saying that he should be in the first round conversation. I don't see a world, though, that Fields or Lance makes it out of the first.
Yeah, I get that. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I was more so just, like, pointing out that, like, this whole
you're saying that
5 in the top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's happening. I really don't. I think
it's going to be more standard. I think we're going to see a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Listen, the Panthers doing this at 8 should tell you something.
Yeah.
They were at 8, and they were guaranteed to get one of those 2 guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. They were at 8, and they probably could have traded up to 4, and they decided against it. I mean, it just would not surprise me if these teams see these guys similar to the way I do. And maybe I'm being, narcissistic a little bit in the way I'm grading these quarterbacks. But, like, I'm sorry. Like, if I'm at 8 and I'm looking at Fields, or I'm looking at trading a second for Darnold, I like a Darnold over Fields for a second, as far as, and also getting the value of that top 8 pick, and going to be a really, really good player whoever you get, right? And I don't know who they'd be looking at, but there's a lot of options.
I think that's what it is with Carolina, because they were guaranteed Lance or Fields. I feel at 8.
They could have, yeah, absolutely.
I know there is a chance, but Detroit's not going to do it. Who picks in front of them? Y'all pick in front of them.
There would have to have been a trade up. There was nobody else other than that, and maybe the Falcons. We've thrown that around.
So they pulled the trigger and got their guy, and they get to pick the 8th overall, and hopefully they hope the quarterback thing plays out now, and teams are flying up, so they get whoever falls. Listen, I get it. Yeah. I get it. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to look at it. Carolina's looking at it. 3 quarterbacks go top 3. They're guaranteed to get a top 5 non-quarterback skill position in this draft, right? That could be anywhere they want to go. I mean, there's a lot of needs there. It's probably not going to be wide receiver, but other than that, they're pretty much anywhere. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, I could plug in any of those top names.
Either tackle Kyle Pitts. Yeah. They could do that.
Or, that's offense. Or anybody on defense that's in that range.
At 8, you could take the corner. You could take linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of them.
Yeah, absolutely great.
They're sitting pretty.
Yeah, are you good on that? I think we hit that from about every angle we could have. I think that was really, really good stuff. Let's move on. We're going to do our risers and fallers list. All right, guys. All right, so we're going to go back and forth. Do you want to do risers and then fallers, or do you want to go back and forth? I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Let's do I was about to say the good then the bad.
No, we're going to do fallers and risers.
The bad then the good. Okay.
All right, so that's how we're going to do it. So I'll go 1, you go 2, and then we'll just go back and forth.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so, and I just have the list on my phone, by the way, guys. So my number 1 faller, and they're not ranked or anything, but just the first guy I want to talk about, Gregory Rousseau. Defensive end, sat out a year from Miami, had all of those sacks in that 2019 season. Was I mean, the way too early mocks that came out right after the 2020 season, Rousseau was a top 10 pick, right? Like that's where we were talking about him. And now, I mean, he's a late first guy. And maybe this is my rankings are going to come in here and like a little bit, but everything I've seen, he's not being talked about as the number one DN. That's being Kwity Paye most of the time. I'm going to talk about somebody else on the risers list that I think will be the top one DN. So for me, Rousseau, his ceiling to me is being the third defensive end / edge, rusher off the board. And really, you go back and look at all of his sacks in that 2019 season, they weren't special. A lot of them came off stunts. A lot of them came through, just talent that just was never going to touch. Like he destroyed Duke tackle that just has no chance of touching the NFL, right? Like that's kind of,
he destroyed car insurance salesman.
Exactly. Yeah. No. And I don't want to be disrespectful. Rousseau has a ton of physical traits. You're talking about a guy who's like 6'7". He's just a long receiver, but like he's not sudden. He doesn't, I don't think, have like the elite quickness or anything as an edge rusher. He's going to go. There's going to be a specific type of team that likes him that I think will love the traits. But I think I don't know. I think he's more of like a 4 to 6 sack guy in the NFL with a lot of like run help, potential and things like that. Fits into that kind of scheme, right? Like that, he's not just a true edge rusher, I don't think. And those type of guys, they do fall a little bit, especially when you're scheme dependent the way he is. Like not every team is going to see a 6'7", 260-pound DN that's kind of long and not, not that twitchy, athlete type of guy. Not every team's going to see what Rousseau is and be attracted to that. It's going to be scheme dependent a little bit on the way that he likes it. Again, awesome traits, not hating on him at all. But yeah, I do think he's a big time faller who like, let's expect him to go late first.
I agree with you in saying that he's a faller because there was early first round buzz.
Yeah.
Possible first defensive guy off the board in some people's early big boards going back last year. Yeah, he's going to be a late first. I think he is a guy who just, The thing that gets me, I mean, like you said,
like him more than me, right?
I like him more than you. I am worried because a lot of his sacks are very, very scheme.
Go back and look at his highlights from 2019 and tell me which sack was genuinely very impressive.
Listen, there's a lot of them because sometimes I saw a few of the overall talent they were playing. The quarterback held the ball too long and kind of just felt swallowed by all the pressure and the blitz scheme that was being sent. And yes, it was Rousseau to do that. Rousseau's very talented.
Yeah,
he'll be a 20 to 32.
Yeah, I get that. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he was one of the first guys in say too.
He can do very good things.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Reminds me a lot of an AJ Epinesa last year.
Yeah.
Talking about how early AJ was. And look at where AJ Epinesa ended up going.
Second round to the Bills, right?
That's a late second, actually.
Yeah, it was dude. That
I think
would
there's
not
a chance
surprise
that
me
Gregory
a bit.
Rousseau might be that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's dead on as far as like they're not the same player. Don't get me wrong.
No,
they're not the same type.
The
draft
buzz, versus where the fall ends up landing.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good.
My number one, they're not listed. My first faller is Chuba Hubbard. Chuba, we saw a fall from grace. I had a harsh reality getting to you because I wanted to put you. I mean, I'm sure there's pods. I know there's pods out there, me gassing you up because in my head,
I was never high on him.
Listen, you weren't. You were never high on him.
Yeah.
For me, he was the Heisman finalist. He was the guy who had all the stats in the book, and it was hard to refute any of that. But once teams really started keying in on him, once teams really started playing Chuba Hubbard, the running back, you saw how he was the scheme really helped him. He had some boosted up stats in some areas, and his overall athletic abilities didn't help him anymore. And that's really what you want to see. Yeah,
no, I absolutely agree. I get what you're saying with the faller. For me, he's about exactly like
for you is what you just didn't buy into the hype.
The hype was way overblown last year, and then he comes back throughout the 2020 season, which I feel bad for all these guys that came back and had a bad 2020 year because so much went wrong, and I do think he could have had a better year, but I'm sorry, you look at the 2019 film and you really, really study it, you don't see a guy who deserves to be like that in that second round range, third round range, in my opinion. And that's just my take, is what it is. But yeah, I've always seen him as a day 3 guy, and I think the hype has actually gone to where it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, the problem with it is that being a running back, I mean, listen, how good is Najee and Travis Etienne and Javonte Williams? They're studs. They're not guaranteed first rounders.
No, not at all.
So take a guy like Chuba who doesn't have that buzz around him.
Yeah.
And there's a chance it could be a 5th, 6th, 7th round.
That is a faller.
I don't want to say that.
It sucks, but it is what it is. Faller. Yeah, you're not wrong at all. My next faller, this one hits home. This is a guy who I really believed in coming into the season. Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback for Florida State. I mean, we're talking about a guy who went from being talked about coming into that 2020 season as easily a first round pick, easily one of the top corners coming into the league, and he's just not even really being talked about in tier 2.
Family name with him too, man.
Yeah, and I just think the lack of top end athletic ability, because he has all of the technique down. He's a well coached guy. But the lack of top end physical ability at the corner position, which does need to always be elite. I mean, you want your corners to be the fastest guys on the field almost, because you got to catch up with the second fastest guys on the field at wide receiver, right? So it's a tough spot to play if you don't have that top end athleticism. I think corner is almost one of the easiest positions to evaluate, because it's just, I mean, you look for
you can see if they got it.
Yeah. I mean, really, honestly, I believe in that, and that's just my take, and maybe that'll change over time. But yeah, Asante Samuel, I think, got burned a little bit, shown that he doesn't have that top end elite athleticism, and I mean, he might fall to day 3. So that's my fault.
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree with the day 3 fall. I get why you're saying that. I've seen a lot of people. You're right though. I've seen a lot of high analysts put out their cornerback rankings 1 through 10. And I think it was like 3 out of 5 didn't have Asante Samuel Jr. on that. So I think for mine, he would fall. I haven't done it. I haven't done it 1 through 10. I think he would fall on there. He would be on the back half. So I think he could be a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, look, I draft him based on his name alone. I'm sorry, like I'm biased like that, but I mean,
Samuel is a stud.
Dude.
If I can get the junior and it can be half as good as a stud, I mean. So, but yes, he definitely had an extreme fall. To think that I'm talking, I like him, I'm good with him, and I think it's 3rd round.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Absolutely agree.
My second one, and this one hurts you. This one hurts me. Because to know the other linebacker that I've kind of cheated on this guy with now in Parsons, because I think Parsons is the clear-cut number 1. Yeah. You go back and ask a year ago, Jacob, who it was, and he would have told you you're high, because it was Dylan Moses, clear-cut favorite. Take away the injuries, and Dylan Moses would have been a top 15 pick last year. He decided to stay. He gambled, and man, oh my God, all the air got let out of the balloon, and now they are talking about Dylan Moses being a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round pick. I don't know what happened. I haven't watched the film. It's something that I need to go back and do. Yeah. I'm just telling you, this Fallers is based off of buzz, and the buzz is Dylan Moses down.
Yeah, I'm just now getting into linebackers, and I'm a little bit behind right now, so I have not actually watched Dylan Moses, so I'm not going to base it on that.
I watched old Dylan Moses. Yeah, Dude was a stud.
Yeah, I remember the buzz around him. This is one of those guys where it's like you knew his name from last year. How many linebackers do you really know a year ahead before they go out, right?
Every award watch list that his name could be attached to.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, but definitely a big faller, and I'm kind of excited to see, like, why did that happen? What happened there? I'm not sure, I'll be honest. But yeah, I don't have much more to add to that, I'll be honest, because you nailed it.
He'll be like the same Alabama guy, Mac Wilson. It's a Mac Wilson for the Browns.
Yeah.
Very good starter,
Dude,
too.
Fell to like the 5th.
But Mac Wilson, exactly.
Fell to the 5th.
Mac Wilson did the same thing.
Hey, we'll see.
Take him. It'll be Cleveland.
Honestly.
They did it with Greedy.
All right, this guy is a guy who I have seen less and less in the 1st round buzz, but he's still there a little bit. This is a wide receiver I'm not high, and this is a wide receiver who falls just outside of my top 10, and I've done a video on him, so if you're going to like roast me in the comments, at least go watch my video and then roast me in those comments. Rashad Bateman, to me, is a guy who
I think you're going to get torched.
You think I'm wrong in this one. I know you do. And that's okay. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not as high. And again, I do still think he's a late 2nd, early 3rd round guy. Like I do. I think there's a huge fall off after Rashad Bateman, but he's not a 1st round pick to me. He doesn't have the athletic traits to be a 1st round pick. I'm sorry. Like he's not. Like there's nothing athletic. Like he's a great technician. He's a big slot receiver, but like he doesn't have what you need from that 1st round wide receiver range, like physically. And I'm sorry. You look for traits plus production. But you don't just look for production. Traits plus production, and Rashad Bateman, he's a big bodied receiver. There's a lot to like about him, and I break it down in my video. But like he just doesn't have that top end athleticism. And I don't care. I know the 40 was awesome. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. Like his pro day 40 is bullshit. There is no fucking way he's not a 4.41 on film, and I'm gonna believe my eyes before I'm ever gonna believe the pro day 40 that he put out. He's not a 4.41. I'm sorry. He's not.
I get that, because that was one of the biggest challenges that he had to get over.
Yeah.
And these Pro Day 40s, they're hard to take. But listen, where would you put him versus a T. Higgins last year then?
Oh, T. Higgins was like my 5th or 6th wide receiver. I really like T. Higgins. If I had T. Higgins in this class, he would be...
Well, T. Higgins was the first on day 2.
Yeah, he was the first.
So-
I'm trying to if T. Higgins was in this class, he would be honestly really close to the same. He would be right in that Terrace Marshall range for me, and Terrace Marshall is my fourth. So I mean, right there.
Okay.
And I mean, Kadarius Toney is another guy who's like right in that range. Kadarius Toney might actually end up being my fourth when it's all said and done.
For some of these
But,
later
yeah.
first round wide receivers, it just depends on which one they're enamored by more, which one fits the scheme more.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a chance that it's Rashad Bateman. I'm seeing a heavy Rashad Bateman to the Ravens.
In the first?
In the first.
I don't think he goes first.
He's
a faller for me. He's not going first.
I'm just telling you. I'm seeing a lot of it in the first.
I'll give you odds right now.
No, I don't want to bet on Rashad because I'm not.
I'll give you top 40.
I'm top 40. I'll give
you top 40.
Rashad Bateman goes in the top 40.
I'll give you top 40. You want odds or you want straight up?
Straight up.
Okay, bet. Two
shots.
Top 40.
2 shots.
So you're going to get out of the first round and still have a chance.
You're doing me justice there, bro. Rashad Bateman is a talent. He's good.
I do think he's a talent.
What
I really
Rondell, since we're on that?
Rondell Moore, I really like Rondell. I think Rondell Moore has a lot more physically going for him.
So you would
the athletic
take the top
profile.
On that one?
I probably, man, I don't know. The problem with Rondell Moore is the injuries, and I don't know how teams would value that. If he wasn't injured, and I saw what I saw on film consistently, yeah, honestly, I don't even care about the size. He's small, but I mean, his explosiveness out of cuts is next level amazing.
Okay.
So I honestly, if it wasn't for the injuries, I would believe top 40. I wouldn't put a shot bet on it, but I would say probably outside of top 40.
I think he's a guaranteed top 40 for me when it comes
That's
to that.
fair.
But I mean, I'm just comparing where they go because a Rondell Moore and a Rashad Bateman are two very different players.
Very different players, and I have graded very differently. I have a good gap between those guys personally. You probably different players, but grade them similarly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
My last faller is one that I haven't heard his name mentioned. His pro day was just the other day. Yeah, you haven't heard a thing, man. Dude should have sat out of that bowl game, I'll tell you that. Because him without Kyle Pitts and him without Kadarius Toney, listen, you already know I'm on the Florida Gators. That's where I'm talking. It's Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask, Heisman hopeful. It was looking so good about Week 10 in college football. People were talking, that was Zach Wilson was still doing his thing, but they were talking Kyle Trask up there in the same breath as an early top 15 pick in the first round. And, he had the bowl game. It was pretty bad. It didn't work out in his favor. You saw what he was or wasn't without his talent that was all around him. And I think that scared a lot of teams. His pro day, he did solid. I think he can make a lot of NFL throws. You're not really blown away by arm talent overall. And that's really what holds him back because that's just what does it nowadays. You have to see the zip. You have to see that wow, that excitement. Because for a long time, I put Kyle Trask and Mac Jones in the same kind of tier. Mac Jones has flown up the board.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Kyle Trask is stated right where he's at. You see any way that there is a team that falls in love with him late first, early second?
I don't look. So Kyle Trask was always to me. I was never super high on him going into the league, and I saw moments where I was like, okay, I get it. Like I get why there's some hype around him, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a guy who doesn't have special arm talent. He's not athletic. He's not mobile by any means. Like he's slightly more mobile than Mac Jones. Like that's not saying a whole lot. I mean,
he has a good frame on him.
He's a good body. I felt like a lot of his power, and it's so strange, but like all of his power came from like he has really good hip torque and but the problem with that is when you have great hip torque and you're getting all of that into your throw, it's not arm. Like it's body, and you have pretty okay mechanics, and you're like he definitely has a little bit there.
He's mechanically sound.
But he looks like a robot out there a little bit. Like he reminds me of Chad Henne. I mean, like that was my comp for him after like watching him.
I've seen a Chad Henne. I've seen a Chad Pennington. Rainbow balls kind of thing was the thing that got mentioned, and I saw his at best was a Kirk Cousins. I mean that was saying the ceiling. Yeah.
So to me, he's not a guy that gets you excited in this. The current NFL, and I felt similarly about Mac Jones. I'll be honest with you. Like I thought Mac Jones was a guy who wasn't going to get you excited. I mean, and to me, Mac Jones is just such a hard grade because of all the talent around him. And I had issues that I've heard nobody talk about, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's going to go 3 overall. And Kyle Trask, I mean, he might be still waiting in the third round. Like, it would not surprise me if he falls out of the top 2 picks. Wouldn't surprise me if a guy like Kellen Mond gets drafted ahead of him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit if a guy like Jamie Newman gets drafted ahead of him. Because to me, if I'm like my pretend GM and I'm looking for a quarterback in that kind of range where I'm looking for traits, I think there's more to build on with a Kellen Mond or a Jamie Newman, just physical traits that I like more than what Kyle Trask brings to the table. I feel like I can find Kyle Trask anywhere. I'm sorry, like just from what he brings to the table physically and athletically, it's just not it's not a lot to love. And to me, you're absolutely right. He probably made the worst decision of his like career coming out this year. I mean, he came out into a really good quarterback class, got overshadowed by that, and on top of it, it's like after being benched in the bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it makes.
He should have stayed.
I get the excuse because I was saying like when I watched Kyle Trask, I was like, I'm not going to watch the bowl game, and I'm not going to watch it because he didn't have any of his weapons. He had guys he'd never thrown to. I'll give him that excuse. But even with that excuse, like he wasn't special. He had weapons all around him. He had a guy that were, and Kyle Pitts is going to be one of the highest tight ends ever drafted. I mean, like he has a chance to go top 5. We're talking about that. We have a Kadarius Toney who, like, you can say what you want about him. I think he goes first round. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. I'm sorry. I'll stop. It's your follower, not mine.
I fell for a reason, guys.
We're good. I killed it there, right? I'm sorry about that. Hey, I'm gonna go a little bit shorter here with Mac Jones. I put him as my riser for kind of all the reasons I mentioned earlier. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say he's my number 3 quarterback off the board. I will say he's gonna go number 3. I don't think there's any way he doesn't go to the 49ers. And honestly, if you're a hater of Mac Jones and you do not want to believe in him or whatever, I would just cool off on it just a little bit, because as much as I'm not a big fan of Mac Jones, and I'm not going to pretend to be a big fan of Mac Jones, I'm a real big fan of Kyle Shanahan, and I'm a real big fan of the prospect of Kyle Shanahan have a guy that he can just be. Mac Jones is going to be the joystick. Mac Jones is a guy I think Kyle Shanahan sees as a guy who can make every throw, who can make decisions quickly and get it to his guys and can play his system. That's all Kyle Shanahan cares about. And I think it's going to work out pretty fucking well, I'll be honest.
You're right. Mac Jones is not my QB3.
Yeah.
Mac Jones might be my QB5. Yeah, QB5. I think that's fine where I'll put him there. But if you are against Mac Jones, if you are out there just saying they are making the biggest mistake ever taking him at 3, if they do take him at 3, just pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, yes, Mac Jones is limited in what he is, but he is going to the dream spot that I think any quarterback would, and it's going to work. I'm sorry. That offense with Kyle Shanahan, listen, at the end of the day, if all Mac Jones has to do is hand off 31 trap, he's going to hand off 31 trap to 3 different running backs, and he's going to do great, and then he's going to be able to throw it to George Kittle off the play actions. Mac Jones is very capable of running a Kyle Shanahan-led offense. So pump the brakes. Don't say that he's ass, because you're going to be wrong in the end. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's something both of us are having a hard time grasping. He shouldn't go 3, but he's going to go 3, and he's going to do good.
Yeah.
The buzz, our whole list, risers and fallers, culmination of what we're hearing versus personal opinions on what we have.
Yeah, and it's a combination of both, yeah.
It is. And Mac Jones, buzz, number 3.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
My first one that I will mention is Javonte Williams. Okay. Javonte Williams, for me, has exploded off the charts. He has bridged the gap, and it is a 1-2-3 between a Najee, E.T., and Javonte. Javonte is up there, and get ready, guys. I think there is a chance he could be the first running back off the board.
Really?
Yes.
I was going to, I thought I was going to surprise you. Javonte Williams has jumped Najee Harris on my rankings.
Okay. That's a surprise.
Yeah,
Najee is above him on mine. Whenever, like I said, I ranked him just them 1, 2, 3 in a it's E.T. and Najee.
I was gonna say we've always agreed on that.
That's how I rank them. But teams falling in love with their guy. Teams falling in love with that high motor. I think that there's a chance that if one of them does get taken in the first round, I'll be surprised. I think one's gonna go.
I'm excited for that. I'm so excited
I get that.
By the way, if you're watching out there, you're wondering what you're gonna do for draft night. Hey, we're gonna be live streaming the entire first round of the draft.
Yes.
And we're gonna have shot bets on the draft ready to go.
We're gonna be
live shots, live reaction. We're gonna be having fun, and I mean, we will be bringing the news. We will be studied up on the top 50, top 60.
Of course.
So we'll have it for you for every single person drafted. We're gonna give you everything you need to know. Yeah, we won't know that guy.
We gotta dig into the fucking top 200 for that.
But we we will have everything for you from an information standpoint, but we're also gonna have a lot of fun with it. We're gonna have our list of shot bets out, and I mean, we're just gonna see what happens because we have a lot on the line here. It's gonna be fun. You killed
Javonte, bridge the gap.
Javonte, hey, I absolutely agree with you on that one. My number 2. This is, I mentioned earlier, the number 1 defensive end in this class is Jalen Phillips, the number 15 from Miami.
You were very big on this one.
He is the number 1 defensive end in this class. I'm sold. He's the number 1 edge rusher. And honestly, I came to this opinion on my own, but seeing people that I very much respect start to not mirror my image, because not like they said anything that they're not listening to me, don't get me wrong, but at least say the same things that I have believed. I feel very good about it, so I feel more and more confident that my take is gonna end up being right. I do believe he goes top 15. I really do. I think he's gonna be the top defensive end. He is. I've mentioned with the Dolphins, right? The Dolphins made this trade for one of 2 reasons: either they have 3 guys on their board in the top that everyone knows about, and they're fine with any one of those 3. Or they have a name that nobody's thinking of in that range that has been their number 1 the whole time, and they decided to jump back just a little bit, guarantee they were going to still have their guy, and also add picks, right? I think it was one of those 2 options. Jalen Phillips is one of those guys that was if he went 6 to the Dolphins, it wouldn't shock me. It would shock me. It would shock me. But
it would be a shock. But we have seen that. We've seen those things happen before.
I wouldn't hate it. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't hate it from a talent perspective. I think he belongs in that conversation. I really do. And that's a personal take. On top of he has gotten a lot more hype lately as well.
He has gotten a lot of hype. I think he's going to be a first round pick for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he should be. I think the way that you see that he's able to play and overshadow some of the other elite talent that was on that Miami defense. He did a fantastic job of it.
You want to add another shot bet? I'll put top 15. Shot on top 15.
I'll take you that. I'll take you on that. Jalen Phillips, top 15. Not saying that I want to be against the guy. I just know that that's a guy that you've been repping so hard.
Yeah, hey, I mean, you can bet against a guy and still like him, right?
That's your guy.
Yeah, he's a dude. Go watch my draft profile on him. I broke down why I think he's so good and all those things. That's a good watch. I'll let you go number 2.
Number 2. It's another guy who has bridged the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy, whenever I get to my number 1, that I will mention again, because I think there's a reason it all ties together.
Mm-hmm.
Rashawn Slater, right here. He bridged the gap between him and Penei Sewell. For me, it's Penei. It has always been Penei. I think Penei is a can't-miss stud. I think a lot of teams might not be as aggressive in pursuing Penei as they would, knowing that they can get a Rashawn Slater. Rashawn Slater was able to shut down a Chase Young. We have seen what Chase Young is able to do against these NFL offensive linemen already. So you're getting a guy in Slater who is capable of doing that. So that is an all-pro versus what I would say in Rashawn Slater is very capable of being an all-pro.
Yeah.
That's what you're ready to draft. Penei, amazing, great talent. We're going to see where he goes, but Rashawn Slater is the real deal.
Yeah, I absolutely. It's close.
And I doubted it a lot too. I was like, why is he coming up out of nowhere?
He's 1A and 1B. I really believe that.
I
I think they're both top 10 picks at the tackle position. I think I'll let you get into it because you've already talked about that take and to me off camera, so I'm going to let you run with that. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Top 10 pick. Rashawn Slater is an awesome player and he has risen. Just go watch what he did to Chase Young. I mean, in the 2019 season, shut him down. Let's get to my last one. I'm going to talk about number 3, whatever, not ranked. Kadarius Toney has flown up draft boards. He's a guy who, I think throughout even the regular season, a lot of people were like, man, there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot, there's a lot to like, blah, blah, blah.
He's just fun to watch.
He was fun to watch. And I think a lot of people saw him as a guy who, could be a second, third round guy, right? And have a lot of upside. No, he's going first round. I'm convinced. I've seen enough hype around his name. I've seen enough, big names in this industry that I believe in talk very highly of him. And I also believe he's my number 5 wide receiver right now and could jump into number 4. It's actually really close. So I think he belongs in that first round. He grades out as a first round wide receiver for me, and I believe he will be. I would say I would be surprised if he's still on the board at 25, 26. I think that's really where he'll end up going at the very latest.
In my top 5 wide receivers, Kadarius Toney is definitely there. He is glitchy. He is shifty. He is electric. He is all the things that we are seeing wide receivers transition to in today's game.
Yeah.
And that is because it used to be, you go back 6-7 years, it wouldn't be Kadarius Toney off of that. He would be an exciting guy in the class for sure, but it was a big body. Yeah. Go up and get it kind of Mike Evans.
And Nico Collins would be talked about.
Those big body style guys that we love seeing. It would be like a Seth Williams in this class.
Yeah.
That was their time. that time's over now.
Yeah.
It's all about route running. It's all about being crisp and smooth and fast and shifty and Tyreek Hill-esque.
Ball in space. What can you do with the ball in your hands?
If
That's
there's a
what's
guy
about.
who can do that and take a bubble and make 3 guys look silly as hell doing it, it's Kadarius Toney. He'll be a first-round pick. Yeah,
I absolutely agree. All right, last one.
Man, we're high on Gators today, aren't we?
We are. We're talking Gators.
We're low on one of them, but my number one riser, and it's hard to put this here because Kyle Pitts was already a top 10 pick. He's my biggest riser, though. He crushed the pro day. His numbers are unlike any other we have ever seen in NFL Combine history. He's fantastic all across the board. And I'm going to go as far to say the reason it ties in with Rashawn Slater is that Rashawn Slater and Panay are so close on a 1A, 1B. There is no other close to Kyle Pitts. There is a weapon in Jamar Chase at the wide receiver position, yes. I think that Kyle Pitts will be the first non-quarterback taken off the board.
Wow.
It's bold in saying that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is very bold.
Huge statement.
I think if the Atlanta Falcons hold that pick, I think it's Kyle Pitts. They don't need the wideout. They could take a Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
And I get the lineman thing, so I could be wrong about the whole lineman thing and see that. But, because I think it is in the Bengals' best interest. So let's assume Atlanta trades out, quarterback team moves up and takes the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bengals have the first non-quarterback spot taken.
You think they go Pitts?
It should be tackle.
Yeah.
But Pitts is exciting there.
Hey, and not only Slater.
On a big board overall true talent, Pitts is up there.
Yeah, no, and I get that, but I was gonna go so far as to say, like, even Slater and Panay in 1-2, right? You're missing out on one of those guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tackles in this class.
It's deep.
There's gonna be some starting tackles going in that second round
Take
range.
a Samuel Cosme. He's a really good guy out of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a deep tackle class. You can't say that very often, but it really is. I hope my Dolphins grab 2 of them. I mean, I really do. Excuse me. It's a very deep tackle class, and I think that adds to your point of could a tight end be the first non-quarterback to go in this class?
Yeah.
It would be a surprise to me, and I would go so far as to say that won't happen. But, I mean, if anybody could do it, Kyle Pitts has, I mean, there's nothing not to like about it.
Shot bet he doesn't make it past the Carolina Panthers. 8.
So that's 8. Yeah, he's drafted before. Yeah, I think 8 is his probably floor, honestly. So if you would have said 6, I think the Dolphins will pass on him. But yeah,
I think there's a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do that shot bet. I could see it happening just because he's tight end and the draft value's not always there. Man, I don't know. I'm not gonna do that bet. I can't because I do agree
because he's
with
not
you.
just a tight end.
Yeah,
he's not the T.J. Hawkinson getting taken at 11. Was it
7? He went 7.
7.
He went 7. Yeah, I didn't like that draft. I didn't like that pick.
I like Hawkinson.
I liked Hawkinson too. I saw Fant and Hawkinson very close together. Fant went 20 and Hawkinson went 7. That was too far apart.
Went at 7. Was that when we were in Nashville?
It was 7 or 8. Yeah, it was that. It was the same draft. Yeah.
Wow, that was a weird day.
I'm
the one that stands out in my head was Clellan Ferrell going 4.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones going 6. So I guess Hawkinson at that point wouldn't shock me because I'm still freaking out about what the hell the Giants just did.
Drafted by
number 8.
Oh yeah, he was number 8. So he went 8. He wasn't 7. My bad. But still.
I like Hawkinson a lot though. I do. Yeah. But yeah, I think he's breaking that. He's gonna be the earliest tight end to take it ever. Kyle Pitts.
Which I don't know. I'm sure somebody was drafted ahead of. I'm sure a tight end's been drafted before.
Maybe
8,
at some point.
But in recent memory for sure. All right. Hey, that's our list. Let us know what you think. Give us some risers and followers on your list. Also, hey, we had a comment last week asking if they can come on the show, and we kind of thought, hey, let's make a thing of it. We want to talk to just the normal guy where you can call into us, and we're gonna make a special pod, just talking draft. I feel like we can talk draft with just about anybody. We would love to talk to anybody who's watching and would want to be on the pod and talk, maybe 15-minute conversation. We already got one scheduled, not scheduled, but he mentioned in the comments, and we're really down to do that. So if you're interested in that, leave in the comments, let us know, and I think we could definitely get something like that up. Maybe get 4 or 5 of those and just do a special pod just to talk draft with some.
I think
fans.
there is a time too where we may eventually be able to grow that into being just a regular segment on our show. Is just hearing from you guys, because we couldn't do anything without you guys, and we want to show how much we appreciate you. And if you were able to get on the show and drop it in the comments and say your name, say what team you're repping, and it would let us know, okay, we can kind of line this guy up because Nick's one of them. He's a longtime listener, he's a good friend, and he's a Seattle fan, so he would be just come on here, talk about what Seattle wants to do. There's a lot of buzz going around about Seattle and all the quarterback controversy and where they should target in the draft, and just an overall outlook on what you expect your year to look like in football. Do that. Let us know who you rep. Let us know what you're thinking, and then we would love to have you on.
All right, that sounds great. All right, so that is the end of our main topic. We are going to discuss Deshaun Watson, and we're not going to spend a lot of time here. But what we're going to do is we're going to start the segment, and I'm going to actually play a clip because this is basically what happened. There has been criminal charges filed, and somebody who is a part of the 22 women that has come out and become part of this class action lawsuit that they're putting out. One of them has come out on record, given their name and given a statement. And we're going to play a clip from it, about 48 seconds. We're going to play it right now here for you.
I'm here to take back the power and take back control. I am a survivor of assault and harassment. Deshaun Watson is my assaulter and my harasser. Deshaun Watson assaulted and harassed me on March 30th, 2020 in my own home, doing what I love most, massage therapy. My father, who was once a diehard Texans fan, can no longer mention his name without turning red, seething with disappointment. I think that's the most heartbreaking aspect of it all. We were all deceived into thinking Deshaun Watson was a good guy. And unfortunately, we know that good guys can do terrible things.
Yeah, so that was a comment, and I'm going to pull up her name real quick so we can give respect to her. I don't see it.
Ashley Solis.
Ashley Solis, yes. So she is one of the women that has come out. And I mean, man, obviously, I think when this first came out, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I hope this doesn't come out for the wrong way, but like I was very hopeful that this was all fake, and I was very hopeful that all of this was bullshit, and people were trying to get at Deshaun Watson. I actually really believed the comment he put out right when the story broke that he plans to completely rid himself of any wrongdoing. Well, I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but it very much sounded like somebody who felt he was severely in the right.
He's being attacked because this is the perfect time to go attack him.
Yeah, exactly, and it is. But I mean, we've had now multiple women come out and give firsthand experiences. We've had criminal charges filed. We've had 22 women come out against him. And now it's going to get into the conversation because we're not lawyers. We're not people that can really talk about the legality of it. That's just not our field at all. And we're not going to pretend to do that. But we're going to talk the football side of it. And with all the respect to these women that have gone through this, and I do believe Deshaun Watson should pay for this if this does end up being the facts. Because, I mean, again, nothing has been proven yet. But it's sounding like, in the court of public opinion, he's lost, in my opinion. Like I'm very much believe that this has happened. Deshaun Watson is becoming like a dirtbag piece of shit in my mind. Like that's why I'm starting to make those connections because of all this stuff going on. What happens next? Like, how do you see this playing out?
If he is found guilty, he will never play another snap in the NFL again. That is just where we are at as a culture right now. That is just where we are at, and as we should be fairly, if these stories are true, because we got a comment back at us talking about how we felt about Deshaun and things were going, and listen, what we said, I don't know how you can have a problem with. What we said is that all we want is the truth, and at the end of the day, whether you're talking black, white, yellow, purple, whatever we are as people, the truth is what we should cling to, and the truth is what we should want justice for.
Yeah.
Whether that be Deshaun being a good guy or a bad guy. Truth doesn't give a damn what you are.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens. Like you said, court of public opinion. I do feel like Deshaun is in a losing battle as of now. I don't know where this is going to go forward. I just want the truth. And until then, Deshaun is in this just gray area in my head, and I cannot make a just call on it.
Yeah, and also I think I misspoke a second ago while you're talking. I want to clarify something real quick. This woman that we just heard, I believe she is a part of the class action lawsuit, right? Or the civil suit, whatever it is. There was also another report that came out from, I think, Sports Illustrated or something. I don't know what news source broke it, but it was a woman who was not a part of the at the time when I was reading, I think it was 18 women, but she's not a part of this lawsuit, and she came out and gave her firsthand experience of the one time she gave him a massage therapy, and you can check that out and look into that and do your own research. But it was pretty graphic as far as like describing what he did, and it was pretty, there was no reason for her to lie. Like I don't want to come across like, I guess, there's going to be cynics out there that could say she's lying or whatever, and I don't get that sense at all. But that's, you know how the internet is. Like, people are going to come out and say a lot of shit. It's fucked. I do believe this is going to be a huge hindrance on his legacy and on his career. Unless
legacy, there is no legacy if it's true.
No, absolutely. I do think I absolutely agree with that. But this is the way I see this playing out. And you can call me a cynic or whatever. I think at the end of the day, he is going to pay he's going to pay whatever he has to pay to get this to go away. And I do think he'll probably be suspended for a year from the NFL. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think he will go back to the NFL regardless of what happens here. And I know that's shitty to say, and I'm not saying that's the right thing. I don't agree with this. I will never be a fan of Deshaun Watson if this stuff comes out to be true. And to be honest, I'm already kind of the point where I'm never going to be a fan of Deshaun Watson. Like, I've heard enough in my opinion, making my judgment. And again, we don't know. Maybe this thing could turn around. I don't know. But
yeah, that's the thing, is that we don't.
Yeah.
We don't
Truth
know. I haven't talked to these women. I haven't talked to Deshaun Watson. We are hearing only certain assets and what news outlets are allowing us to hear.
Absolutely.
So I've always felt that the news can manipulate us in different areas. So
of course,
it's just,
of course.
That's why when I say just trust the truth, I don't know what version of the truth I'm going to get. I don't know if we are going to get the truth or not.
Yeah. Well, so
whatever the verdict is at the end of the day, though, that's what I can say truth is. So that's what I got to go with.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely agree. And I'm trying to take a step back from that, because you're absolutely right. I mean, and again, I don't want anybody to hear what I'm not saying. I'm not in favor of him play. If this is true, he does not deserve to play another snap of professional football. He does not deserve to be on a pedestal the way NFL quarterbacks are on a pedestal. And I think a lot of people would agree with that statement, right? I think that's 1,000% fair. And in this culture, especially that we're in,
there's millions of little boys out there who want to be Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and I mean, but at the end of the day, I would not surprise me a bit if Deshaun Watson, with all the money he fucking has, with all the resources I assume he has, he's going to be able to make this go away the way we've seen a lot of rich people make things go away. To a lesser degree, Jameis never did something like this. But honestly, he was accused of actually raping someone. So maybe he did. I don't know.
There was a very huge rape scandal going on, and there was a large amount of money that was paid.
Yeah,
as hush money as.
And this was him in college, and he was going on to win the national championship as this stuff was going on, right? So he goes to the NFL. Nothing actually happened.
You don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, of course. But that's what I'm saying is, like, now Jameis is probably gonna be the starter of the Saints, and he failed with the Bucs, right? Deshaun Watson's never failed as an NFL football player on the field. So it would not surprise me a bit if maybe it's 3 years from now. Maybe it's 4 years from now. I do think he'll play again. I really do. I think regardless of what happens.
I get that completely, just because of the way that the business goes.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying that's right. I don't want
No. But there is a narrative when it comes to owning up, and then people like to see the second chance get right story in a way. The apology.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves until we figure out where this goes.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But we had to mention it. Look, we talk football here. I mean, that's what this podcast is. This is a huge story in the NFL, so we have to talk about, as much as we don't really want to talk about. Like, we want every excuse we can to leave this to the courts and us not have to talk about it. But it's football, man, so we have to. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this long, hey, now is the perfect time. Would you agree? This is the moment. Hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
This is the moment. This is your moment. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. Check out the other videos on this channel. A ton of draft profiles. I mean, just pumping them out. If you want us to do, or me to do, a draft profile on a specific player, leave in the comments. I'll do it. Hey, let us know. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Underdog Podcast, all of those things. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Texans fans, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to do your shot soon. We are going to clip out your thing specifically. I just got to find time where I can drop some 15 shots, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.